So why don't we jump in with that? Baruch atah Adonai
Adonai
Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech
melech
haolam. Asher
Asher
kishanu
kishanu
b'mitzvotav
b'mitzvotav
v'tzivanu
v'tzivanu
la'asok
asok
b'divrei
b'divrei
Torah.
Torah.
La'asok b'divrei Torah, that we're going to get busy with Torah. We're getting busy with Torah. I love it. All right. This week is a double portion, right? This week we're jumping into a double portion. I have some stuff prepared for us to take a look at, but I'm not going to share my screen. Hey, everybody, let's pretend we're frozen. Here comes Jody. Pretend you're frozen. Jody's coming.
Jody
She's not even popping on. That's all right. It's good. Hi, Lynn. Good to see you.
I'm here, but I have to talk to Esther Cohen for a minute.
All right, say hello to Esther. We were all pretending we were frozen, though, just to mess with you.
Oh, I'll be right back.
How
Lynn's
is
on
Rabbi
vacation.
Nanis, by the way? Everything good with her?
Yeah, Rabbi Nanis is fabulous per usual. No, she's really good. Okay, so here we are. We're in a double portion this week. This is a very interesting. I say that every time. This is a very interesting portion. But this is the idea of it's a double portion. Why do we have double portions? It happens based on when holidays fall, right? If certain holidays fall over a Shabbat, then we need to read a different portion based on the holiday, and then it kind of gives us an opportunity to read other portions that are doubled. And it's the same few portions that are always kind of doubled up together, right? It's not just random which portions are doubled up. It's always very specific which portions are doubled up. And this week we have Vayakhel and Pekudei. Vayakhel and Pekudei. All right. Don't worry about the translation of those words. We're going to get to it. First, we're going to start with Vayakhel. This is very interesting, but I want to set my screen on because I'm about to. Really, Merle? You got mail? You got to let us all know that you got mail? That's good. Here comes Roy. Roy's jumping in too. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see where I am reading. Boom, 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 boom. Share. Good. All right. Making me open you all up so I can see. Great. Okay, here we are. We're right at the beginning. Try not to look. Do you see my mouse also, or just the screen? You see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try not to look at this, even though I'm telling you don't look at it. I'm sure you're looking at it. Why? Because I'm telling you don't look at it, right? Don't look at this right here. Just let's look at the first line, because that's what we're going to start with. Because this is crazy what's going on here today. Okay, it says, Vayakhel Moshe et kol edat bnei Yisrael. All right. Moses then, this is a very interesting translation. I've never seen this translation of this word this way, but I like it, and you'll see why in a second. Moses then convoked the whole Israelite community. What does this mean, convoke? Convoke. Does anybody know what that word means? Here comes Sukasa.
Is that the Vayakhel? Where is
Who said that? Who said that?
Oh, Jen, but I did.
Yes.
You asked us to look at it.
No, I did. You're absolutely right. It is the Vayakhel, this convoke. But most translations, the vast majority of translations you will see for this, they will translate Vayakhel as gathered or assembled. Gathered or assembled. Moses then gathered the whole Israelite community, or Moses then assembled the whole Israelite community, right? But you will only see that translation of this word in Torah. In everyday Hebrew, that's not what is used for this idea of gather or for assembled, right? La'asof. La'asof is the actual Hebrew word for to gather, right? Or lerakiv. Lerakiv. Yeah, lerakiv, or is to assemble. But what I love about using this word, vayakhel, is that it inspires a little bit more than just simply gathering a group of people, right? The word Vayakhel doesn't just mean to gather a group of people or assemble a group of people. But yes, Miriam, what do you want to say?
I just want to say that it reminds me personally of a kahal or a kahila.
Oh,
Kahila,
yes.
as soon as I saw it, it reminded me of kahila and kahal.
Mhm.
Oh my God. You know what, Jody? I'm just going to be turning over the co-hosting duties to Miriam right now.
No, please don't. It was almost a question.
Miriam, we're putting you in the clergy rotation. Your
won't,
week is
I
next
won't.
week to teach Torah study.
Okay.
I don't know if we have Torah study next week because it's
Sukasa
not on the
here.
calendar.
No, it's
Don't
Erev
worry.
Pesach.
We're going to do some other stuff. Don't worry. It's okay. Anyway, let's get back to this. Yes. So you see the word from Vayakhel, kahal, kehila. What is kahal? It means like the congregation. What is kehila? Community, right? This is community. This is I'm going to even make up a word here. He communicized or he communicized the people, right? What is the difference between just bringing some people together, like physically assembling them or physically gathering them, versus creating community? Murrow.
It sounds like convoked makes it sound like it's way more serious than just a gathering.
Okay, convoke
Like-
makes it sound like it's, yeah.
Like he's going to say something to them that's really important, and this isn't just a social event.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it might be about what he is saying to get
Or
people
to
to
say.
focus. Where did Sukasa go? She raised her. Oh, there you are, up in the corner. Yes, good.
I was
So we're
going
going to
to
go
say,
Sukasa and then we're going to go Jacob.
when we study Torah, we say la asok b'divrei Torah, to be busy. Isn't that the same word you just used? To be
It's
busy
actually-
with the study of Torah?
Asuka or Esek is different than kahal. It's a different word, but I can connect the two because there's something, this idea of actually doing. There's actually a
Yeah,
doing
it's not
that's
just,
coming.
it's to
not
be
just
active.
assemble for the assemble's sake. Right. Jacob.
Would it mean more so instead of assembling, he rallied, like he got everyone on the same page?
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Okay. So, all right. Yes. And that there is a glue that holds, that binds together. There is an intentional thread that is weaved through and within the people, right? Moses is gathering them for a very specific reason, and the inspiration for the reason is what binds these people together and inspires them, right? Binds the people together and then inspires them. What do I mean by that? All right. Oh boy. I'm going to skip number 2. I'm going to skip number 2 and just go down to number 4. Okay, notice where we are, that this is Exodus 35, 1 through 5. And I'm just going to read 4 and 5. And then I want you to notice something. We're going to jump all the way to 35:29. Check this out. Moses said further to the whole community of Israelites, this is what the Lord has commanded. Take from among you gifts to the Lord. Everyone whose heart so moves him shall bring them gifts for the Lord, gold, silver, and copper. And then it goes on a little bit. Bring these things, because what are we going to be doing now? We are going to be building the tabernacle. We're going to be building the Mishkan, or the first traveling sanctuary, right? And what's interesting here is not the people are, yes, Jody.
Oh, you can make your point first.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
I don't want to step on the rabbi. Come on.
No. So that the people not only are they commanded, but what's so something it's interesting, they're commanded to bring only what their heart so moves them. Their hearts are it's not that you have to bring a certain amount of stuff. No, you got to bring something, but let's see what moves you, what inspires you to bring what they do. And the people are just bringing stuff. They're collecting and collecting and collecting for them to start building this tabernacle. And it just goes on into the deepest detail, so specific about the building and the measurements and the stuff and what it's going to look like and the shape and the cloth, the different types and the different colors. I mean, it paints the most vivid, detailed picture with instructions, and it's just going to town with all this stuff. All right, and I'm going to move down. It's just details.
Wait,
details,
can I say
details.
my thing though? Can I say my thing?
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think it's very classy of Moses not to say, like, maybe what you gave to the golden calf. Like,
Oh, come on. It's like, really? You're going to be that person who's going to hold it over them? It's like, I thought we said
I know, I'm saying it's classy.
We're done with that.
Because that's what I would have done. Like, maybe that plus one, what you gave to the golden calf plus one. That's what I would do.
Wow, you're going in that direction. So what you would have done is try to inspire through guilt, is what you're saying. But
I'm
Moses
a Jewish
didn't
mother.
do that.
I'm a Jewish mother. This is my profession.
Yeah, who left the lights on? Right? That's exactly. Okay, now we're going back over here. Check it out. Okay, thus the Israelites, all the men and women whose hearts moved them to bring anything for the work that the Lord through Moses has commanded to be done, brought it as a free will offering. Here we have this idea of free will. There's a command, but there's no set limit. You're going to bring what you're going to bring, and you just keep going, and let's keep going. And over there, then it busts into, and Moses said to the Israelites, see, the Lord has singled out by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur of the tribe of Judah. He has endowed him with a divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge in every kind of craft. They are building to detail and detail. Let me ask you this. Oh, go back up here. Why? Why is God so concerned with all this detail of things that need to be added? And why does it need to be built in such a way? And why are they asking the people to be so inspired? And let's see what this inspiration is going to bring. Why? Why does God need this? Why is God asking this? It sounds a little much to me. Why so much detail? Why so specific? What do you think? Why?
Well, it is bringing them together as a community, going back to our initial word.
Oh, boy. Tell me more about that.
Well, because then each one will, according to their talent, be able to contribute. God certainly doesn't need silver, gold, and copper.
Oh my God! Wait, say both of those things again, Jen.
Oh, well, the
Say
level
both of
of
those things
detail, that will mean that it could mean that across the community, each person will contribute their particular skill, and God certainly does not need this Mishkan. He doesn't need the copper, gold, and silver. We do. And then just a brief aside, can I just add that kahal or kahel, could that be also related to voice, call?
Great question.
I didn't want to possess the group there, but
No, that's not a percent. That's a very good question. Phyllis, do you have an answer to that, or you got another point?
Another point.
Okay, hold on one second. So, yes, as a short answer, I'm going to say yes. Short answer, I am going to say yes to Jen. Phyllis, go.
I think it's interesting that this is one of the only places that women are really included and really contribute greatly to the creation of something that they're not necessarily going to be able to go into, but that they seem to be on equal footing in this instance.
That is a fabulous point. That is a fabulous point. And which we're going to take a look at a bit later. Sadly, it gets negated in the next Torah portion. Right in the next Torah portion, right in Pekudei, it gets kind of underhandedly backed into negated. Keep going, Phyllis.
Well, it just seems so weird that this is the case here and then never again, sort of.
Yeah, I like that.
But excuse me.
Sorry, go, Natalie, go.
How do you know in that sentence that let all among you? It doesn't say women. Perhaps that means let all of the men who are skilled come. It doesn't say women. It sounds like it sounds that women are.
Okay, it does say women. Let's look right here. Check it out right here.
Let all among you who are skilled come and make all as to command.
I see what you're saying now.
It doesn't say women.
Okay, you're making a distinction between what is brought versus what is built, or who does the building.
No,
is that the distinction you're making?
No, because I'm saying among you. Let all among you, meaning what it may mean, let all the males among you.
Where are you? Give me the line number that
number
you're reading.
10, 3510.
3510. Oh, so I don't have, right, great. Okay, so I don't have that.
I'm reading from my own book. I don't know if it's the
beautiful.
same.
Okay, let me go. We're going to look at 3529 right here. It says, Kol ish ve'isha. Thus the Israelites, all the men and the women whose hearts moved them to bring anything for the work that the Lord through Moses had commanded.
Sorry, then I'm wrong.
Right. No,
I'm wrong.
But where you read, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Where you read, it did not say. And you bring up a very good point. You bring up a very good point, which I did not think about. Here in this line, it makes the point to say, Kol ish ve'isha.
Right.
Kol ish ve'isha, all the men and the women.
That's correct.
Right? Asher nadav libam, that their hearts, that they wanted to volunteer with their hearts. Levi lechol amachlala, right? It's men and women are moved in a free will, right? Because the women aren't supposedly commanded. Free will to bring chomer for the building, bring stuff, but it does not say, and this is the part that I did not realize until just now. It says nothing about who, because it says Bezalel is going to build it. Bezalel is male, and it says all of the artisans, like Jen was saying, which I absolutely loved, because we'll get to this point. I see you, Phyllis. I see you want to say something. Hold on. To add their creativity and add their talents, right, to the actual building, but it doesn't say anything about the actual building with men and women. It just says you. So this is a very interesting point. But women were allowed to give, but they weren't allowed to do. I don't know. It's not clear. It's ambiguous. Go, Phyllis.
But very soon, women are going to make things to be used in the tabernacle, so they're not out of the creative process.
Beautiful. Yes. Yes. Now we have to go back. Oh, I was wondering about this. Here comes Jeff. Jeff's coming in. I want us to go back a few Torah portions. We're going to Truma.
Where are
And
we
I want
now?
us, we're going back. Exodus 25. I have it here on the screen. Exodus 25, 8 through 9. This is the part right here that I find fascinating. And it speaks to exactly what Jen was saying and who really needs this. It's a classic line, right? Va'asuli mikdash, I'm reading in the Hebrew right here. Va'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham. And let them make for me a sanctuary that I may, I'm not reading the English just yet. Shachanti betocham. The way that they have this translated, and you'll see this translation mostly this way. Let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Dwell among them. Shochanti betocham. Shochanti means to dwell. Like shachen is like my neighbor kind of thing. Shochanti betocham, that I may dwell among them, that I may be around them. Right? Okay. Check this out.
David?
Here is what?
David, can I just ask, isn't shachanti, isn't that past tense? Asuli mikdash v'shachanti, and I dwelled among them.
It might be a
Great.
reversing vav, though.
I rested among them, whatever.
Great question. Jen,
Is that a reversing vav that changes it from past to future? I'm not sure.
Fabulous. So in biblical Hebrew, right? A lot of times the way that it written in past tense is about the future tense, that it's called vavaipuch.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, cool.
Where it kind of, and that's where you also have the Vayakhel, because Vayakhel is also a past tense, but it's about, I mean, it's like a future, but it's in a past.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, Jen. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
Check this out. Betocham, translated here as dwell among them. This, I also think, this word right here is that that inspiration and glue that I was talking about before. That the community is more than just among. Well, still, betochechem would be among you. Betoch also means within. So that I may dwell within them. Not just among them.
Yeah.
That's a much better translation.
Yeah.
Betoch, yes. Betoch means within also.
Right.
Inside of their kishkin, their guts, and their soul. Yes, Jen.
Not nearly as important as the message you're communicating here, but just so I'm practicing our Hebrew grammar, is hem meaning them? Wouldn't that be I want to say an H, hem. But hem, isn't that a plural you? But I could be totally wrong as usual.
No. You're absolutely right. If the chaf was not already a part of this word, betoch is the word. So betocham, betochem, betocham, betoch otcha or otchem would be betochachem.
I see. Otherwise, it'd be the hey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because the final letter of the actual word is a ch already, they don't get rid of it.
Thanks so much.
It's a good question. Look at this. We're doing, and my Dikduk professors in Israel would be so proud of me. Because what they would used to say to me is like, "You don't understand, do you? No, you don't." That's what they would say to me. You don't know, right, David? You don't know. He knows. You don't know. So I'm very proud of myself right now. Okay, moving on. So that's what it's about, right? God does not need all of these things. Who needs these things? The people need these things. The people, why? So they feel useful. So they feel like they have something to do, something to give, right? That they really do feel like partners in the creation of this place. God's like, I don't really need this place, but you guys need this place in order for you to be open to this possibility, right? It's like, I don't know. How many of you have been in the main sanctuary at the Glazer campus? How many of you have ever been inside the main sanctuary of the Glazer campus? Okay, Merle, let me ask you this question. When you walk into that space, what do you feel? Or what do you ever notice people feel? What do you feel when you walk into that space?
I feel a sense of awe. And I have to say that it's not just as an adult, but that sanctuary, when we would go in there every Saturday morning, because we went to Saturday school, but in those days, I would walk in there, and that's what dragged my parents to their involvement, because of that awe. And the other thing about that is when the sanctuary was under construction for the repairs and everything, and I was there, camp buses were leaving one day, and I walked in there with Bo, and he made me climb that scaffolding up to the Shema. And my mother was very sick at that time, but I walked in the door when I got home in tears, and she didn't understand what I was in tears about. And I told her, because she could still communicate, what I had just done and what that did for me. And she realized that was something I wanted to do as a child. And that to me is still my sense of awe when I walk into that sanctuary.
Amazing. Jacob, you haven't been in that space yet, have you? Oh man, we got to get you in there. We got to get you in there. Okay, so it's yes, amazing. When you walk into that space, yeah. Who said my name?
No, I said amazing.
Oh, amazing.
No offense.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about my, No, I wasn't talking about you. I was saying amazing. I wasn't talking about you. You don't know, David, right? You don't know. Thank you for bringing me back down to earth, Merle. I appreciate that. Appreciate you. Yes. So it's the people that need to be inspired. And this is this idea that they're creating something physical. And what's really interesting, and it goes back to the point that Jody made earlier. Oh, why don't you give a little bit more for a little bit more than you did for the golden calf? They were building that for inspiration out of fear, right? They were giving out of fear because they thought Moses disappeared on them. Here, they're giving because their hearts are moved with inspiration out of what is to come. They're like, oh man, this is going to be bananas. We're going to get to do all this phenomenal, wonderful stuff, like real growth. So they're giving it out of a sense of awe and wonder, right? So much so, a free will offering, something that is inspiring them and moving them. It's like that space. And, we say the same thing at camp, when we talk about, I don't know if all of you know, but a few years ago, the 2018, 2 years ago, when our camps were really just destroyed in the fires in Malibu, and we're really trying to get people together and be like, camp is not the place, it's the people. Camp is not the place, it's the people. Which, yes, it is true, but at the same time, what inspired the people, what brings the people together as a community, is also the place, because the place, right, gave the people the opportunity to gather and grow and communicize and have those experiences, right? And from that communicizing, the magic happens and the inspiration happens, right? So place is also important. It's not one or the other, right? Because we all say, but God is everywhere. God is everywhere. I don't have to have a set time to pray. I can pray whenever I want. I don't have to go to a certain place to pray. I can pray whenever I can get inspiration wherever I can do that. Yes, in theory, but in practicality and reality, we don't. not out of any kind of laziness or no desire, but our lives are so full and busy and constantly moving, right? That if we are not given or take the time, right? If we don't make the time, take the time, it's just not going to happen. It might happen, but there's a much better chance for it to happen. For example, right? Like if you take an apple seed, and you throw it in the wind, and like, oh, maybe it's going to fall somewhere nice, and all the right things are gonna happen, and it'll magically grow into a beautiful tree and get some fruit. Maybe. But if you take the seeds and you plant them with intention in a beautiful orchard, in rows, you nurture it, you water it, you are creating the opportunity for it to, like, 9 times out of 10, it will happen. You're giving it the opportunity. And that's what's happening here too. In the creation of the tabernacle and these opportunities, you are giving the people the opportunity to be filled with God, the spirit of the spiritual connection to both God and each other as a community. All right, we're going to move on to the next point in a second, but first, Jeff, go ahead.
Well, you know, there's some difficulty for me, at least in the entire concept of a activity that the population assumes from the chaos of the golden calf. If you were a social planner and you had a dysfunctional group of people, the only way you can refocus the attention of a group of dysfunctional people is to give them a common direction, a common task, and a common goal to achieve, to reestablish some semblance of purpose. And this entire process involving the people and the construction, is that task. It has to refocus the attention that is the direction that this development of belief in this God offers them. Because right now they really are not committed. And it's a problem.
What's the problem? He's fixing it.
Exactly. But the task is the thing that focuses their attention on the purpose. And the purpose is a place to have God reside within them.
Yeah.
Not amongst them necessarily, but within them. And you can only imbibe something by putting it within you as a purpose, a means, and an action that you partake in. You don't buy into it just because you see it. There's more to it than that.
I think the opposite for these people is also true, though. I think the opposite for these people are also true. They do need to see it as well. They do need to see it as well. For us too, I think. For us too. Like, when I'm up at Campus Kramer and I see that menorah or I'm in that chapel, that opens something up for me. Right? That opens something up for me. It's the very classic, there's only space for God, you can only have God within you if you make space for God. You have to make that space. All right, okay, I saw a couple of hands. Merle, then Jen.
Third vision they needed. They had the cloud and they had the pillar of fire.
It's going to happen later too. They're going to keep needing it. It's going to, we know where this story goes. None of these people are making it into the promised land because they're not going to, they're too far gone, but it's their descendants. So, but that doesn't mean it's what leads to it. It's got to keep working on it. Where did Merle go? Where did she go? Where did you go, Merle? Oh, here she is.
So
Merle, then Jen.
When you talk about camp and the fires, and then we went to Cal State, wherever we were for camp the next summer. We didn't have our chapel, but look at all the things that the kids and staff, all of us, found that camp after the fire to recreate a chapel that was ours, that I think God's inspiration created that we could do that we could be in a chapel that resembled in whatever way we could.
That's the key. That's the key. But that's the key. That word right there. I'm pointing to you, Merle. That word right there, resembled. The physical space was still in their mind.
Right.
What they pictured was still the thing that was there that inspired them. And they know that is a temporary fix. Only temporary fix.
But it was still, to sit on the benches that didn't burn, to have the things that the Torahs that got saved, to build a menorah out of PVC pipe and tile that was found at camp. All those things, those kids, and obviously everyone that helped, created something that was still meaningful, even though we weren't in our home.
Yes, good. Jen.
Hey, it seems like they're really infusing that initial kahal with meaning now, that it is drawing them together in the community. But at the same time, it strikes me that when you mentioned walking into the synagogue, that without the people there, I don't know exactly, that it's almost, God will dwell among them anyway. It's just, maybe it's more about this sense of bonding with each other. And then the other thing was, they've seen.
That's very Buberian of you.
Oh,
beautiful.
Oh, honored to be in that crowd. The other thing is they've seen gold and silver and copper in Egypt anyway. I mean, they've been close to it. And now they're going to build this holy place with it. I don't know really where I'm going with that, but
no, I know exactly where you're going with it. I know exactly where you're going with it. It's beautiful. It's actually, Rabbi Leader has given a few sermons on this, and it was very, very cool in one of his previous books, More Money Than God. Is that why we have a minyan, a community to pray? Yes, absolutely. Sukasa, that is for sure one of the reasons. That the gold, silver, right? Jody, correct me if I'm, where I'm going with this, right? The gold, the silver, the copper, let's just call it the money, the value that it is amoral. There is no morality to it, right? It is a tool, right? It is something that they use this tool to build the golden calf, to transgress and the fear within them because of that. And they use the same thing to build a holy space where they're going to be open to God dwelling within them. So Jen, you may not have realized that that's where you were going, but that's where you went. See, that's pretty good.
I don't get what you're saying. I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not possessing the.
Oh, Jody just wrote something beautiful in the chat. It's not the money, it's what the money can do. It's not the gold. Yeah. Thank you, Jody. Perfect. It's not the money, but it's what the money can do.
Okay. Right.
It's not the money. It's
give to make when we're asked to donate for whatever we're asked to donate for. It's not that how much money we're giving. It's what we can do with what the organization or the temple can do with what we've donated. That I've always questioned people when they've questioned, well, what is my donation going to do for me? It's not about what it's going to do for you. It's what it's going to do for your community.
And you know what? I'm still happy to take the money from someone who says, what's it going to do for me? I'll tell you what it's going to do for you.
Well, yeah.
Because at least they're thinking, because this is interesting.
Oh, right.
So one of my best friends was, he was like one of the first 20 employees of Google back in the day, like one of the first of the first. And he went through this treasures where, everybody around him was just making tons and tons of money, right? Like just lots of money, tons of money. And the people that he said that were always, before they had the money were, maybe less than the good of the good. What did the money do? It just exacerbated those challenges that they had in the way that they spent their money, versus the people who were always just thinking of others, the kindness, the open hearts. What did the money do? It just exacerbated that. And right? So the money itself was just the tool. It's what the money can do or what you do with it. And it's the same thing here. The money, the gold that it was first used to build the golden calf. Why? Out of fear, out of whatever. Now it's being used to build something that opens them up where God can dwell within them. And it goes into the great, serious detail. Jeff, go. Or is that an old hand raised? Oh, sorry, Jeff, I'm going to cut you off. I want to give Natalie a chance. She raised her hand. Then we'll go back to you. Go, Natalie, go.
I want to take this back to where this is like all new for me as well.
Yeah.
Here you have all these people. How in the world are you going to make them believe in this God that you cannot see? After they've been exposed to images of idols and the sun and all these other things that people have believed in before. Yeah, so here we started the lesson today, on 35, where God says to them, if you do not observe the 6 days of the Sabbath, you will be put to death.
Yeah.
That's how that started. So here we have a God. No, this is the way I see it when I read it. You have a God, you better listen to me, or I'm going to put you to death. Yeah. That's on 35. Here we're reading about, now you have to believe in me because I am grand with wealth and beauty. Those are the things that they're trying to get these people.
Natalie.
I mean, it's not a matter of liking it or not. It's very confusing because we have a very vengeful God in this Torah, it seems.
Yeah.
And we also now are the community and everyone has to join and everybody. So I'd like some answers if you could with that.
Yeah, good luck. That's 4,000 years of discussion right there. And I would like some answers now. You're just like the millennials. I want everything now. I want it Amazon Prime fresh. I'm going to order the answers. It's going to be here in my house in an hour.
That's right.
Natalie, because check it out. Here's what I love right here. I'm going to share my screen again because I'm going to bounce forward to the end of Pekudei. Boom. Check it out. We're jumped all the way to 40. The cloud covered the tent of meeting and the presence of the Lord filled the tabernacle. So here it was. It said, I'm not dwelling among anybody. I'm going to fill it. You guys get out. I'm going to fill it with this. I'm going to fill it with this cloud, right? This is something that they can see. This is something that they can see. And they're not going to move. Well, we're not moving. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled upon it and the presence of the Lord filled the tabernacle. So not even Moses could go inside, right? But when the cloud lifted from the tabernacle, the Israelites would set out on their various journeys. But if the cloud did not lift, they would not set out until such a time as it did lift. For over the tabernacle, a cloud of the Lord rested by day. The fire would appear in it by night, in the view of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys. So you are absolutely right. Again, though, Natalie, right? That God is giving the people what the people need in order to move forward in their belief. God knows, you guys were in Egypt for all the time. You see the sun God and the moon God and the milk God and the dairy God and the meat God, 2 separate dishes for each God, right? So this is what you know. This is what I'm going to have to give you in order to help move you. Let me see what Jen wrote here in the chat. A lot of fear, and God is trying to move them away.
That's it. And punishment
from that
afterwards, right? Yeah.
And it's an evolution of it. And here's the thing, I'll give you a little plug for one of my next shiurim, one of my next classes. So just prior to Passover, we're going to be doing a couple of classes on like preparation for Passover. And my class is going to be, well, how did we get there in the first place? How did we get there in the first place? And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about, this evolution of punishment and belief, and who are these people and how did they get out of the situation? The issue of building the tabernacle out of these precious metals. God could have had them build the Mishkan out of anything he wished. Perhaps he is teaching that power of any kind, material or political, etc., can be used for good or bad. I love that. Very articulate, Jen. I'm stealing it. And Natalie's like, I ain't buying it. Okay. This is good. Go, Merle.
Reference to what Jen said, could it also be that God wanted you to give up some of these things that you had harboring in your life, and that it can be used for the greater good of the community?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's all beautiful. That's beautiful midrashic interpretation. I love it. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, that we have a choice between coveting and community.
Yeah. All right, good. I'm gonna add something with that that may be helpful. Go, Jeff.
You know, it's very difficult to parse the difference between the Mishkan and something that's idealized for adoration and almost biblically idyllic. You've got a Mishkan which no Israelite can enter. You have only a visual cue. You haven't got a Levite class and Aaron who is even teaching yet the principles of the Torah adequately to the 12 tribes around the Mishkan. So this becomes a focal point, but without content for most of the people. And it's unfortunate that part of the re-education of this disparate population isn't the focus of the story. That in essence, it's a visual cue only. There's no learning here.
Yet
is right. But look at the effort put into the creation of this. And initially, it's really just a symbolic representation without content.
Yet, give it time. Look at the AIP. It's a beautiful building. It's the building yet. Jacob.
I was going to say that symbolically, it's like a beacon.
Beautiful.
On their journey.
Oh. And you know, it's that no different than today. Which way are our sanctuaries built and facing? You know, Libi b'mizrach, my heart is in the east. And and there is because this is treading on some cuckoo territory here. The way that we look at the Western Wall, the Kotel, right, or the Wailing Wall, the way we look at the Western Wall, as being almost like this. People go and they touch it, right? Or even, and maybe this is controversial to say, you know, when on Saturday mornings when we walk around with the Torah, and people are like, oh, right? Where is it? Right? Where does it? Or if it falls down, we gotta fast, right? Like all these things. So this is beautiful. This idea of beacon versus idolizing or idealizing, right? That's phenomenal. I love it. I was going to say what was my other point? Because that was really great. That just took me in a different direction. Jeff, go. I see you want to finish your thought.
At this point, you know, I think the story has, as you say, created a beacon or a direction, the content. It remains a unifying focus. out of which Moses and Aaron function. It's the core element to holding this group of hard-hearted people together. Dictates come down vis-a-vis God through them, and direction is given.
All right, so this is fascinating. Check this out. So first I want to go just back for what Phyllis said earlier, where I said that Pekudei kind of backhandedly undermines this idea, right? And it goes right over here on 3825. The silver of those, so they're talking about now the silver of those of the community who were recorded came to 100 talents, 1,775 shekels by the sanctuary weight, a half shekel a head, half a shekel by the sanctuary weight for each one who was entered into the records from the age of 20 years up, 603,550 men. So here we are now using the silver on top of what was given. And this already is problematic. One, because it's just about the silver that was collected from the census. And who is it counting? It's just counting the men. So the silver that we're using, it has nothing to do with you, ladies. Yeah? And there's a difference between equality and equity, right? They used that number, half a shekel, as a way of counting people. But half a shekel to some meant bubkis, nothing, stuff I find, the lint I find on my couch, versus half a shekel is going to count for something for a lot of these people. It's worth a lot. Yet we said everyone is equal under this, so we all going to give the same amount. But that's not equity, right? So that's already two problems. Now I'm going to jump all the way back up here to a point that Natalie made. Here we're talking about all this beautiful stuff, the detail, how grand and fabulous the different materials, right? Dolphin skin. Where do they find dolphins in the middle of the wilderness? I don't know. Oh, the acacia wood, the gold, all this, the details and the measurements, and it's great, beautiful. Yet, it starts with one. They say this. Why only this one commandment here? On 6 days, don't forget, everybody, on 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a Sabbath, a complete rest, holy to the Lord. Otherwise, you do any work, you're going to be put to death. So yeah, we're about to build something really beautiful, and this is for you, but still, don't forget, right? I'm going to give you a little hint here, or a little taste of my class later. It says, right, what's the great line? What does Moses say? What's the great line that Moses says to Pharaoh about the people?
Let my people go.
Let my people go. I'm channeling my inner Cantagarny. Guess what? That's not the line. That's not the line. That's not the whole line. It's let my people go so they may serve me.
Right.
Let my people go so they may serve you. Stop serving you and come and serve me. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to look at the Hebrew. Jen, you might be interested. We're going to talk about the Hebrew. We're going to parse out and look at the definitions and break down the Hebrew in my class. Sukasa, you have the last word. But you're muted. All right.
Oh, okay. I'm always bothered by the grandiose construction of the Mishkan.
Why bothered?
That's
Talk to me
right.
about
Because I don't think that I realized that he had to get people back in the fold, but to me, it's the opulence. It reminds me of going into a Catholic Baroque church where the grandiose and the stuff just overwhelms you. I think there's a benefit to creating a spiritual space, but I'm not sure I go for all this gold and silver and stuff. I think that it takes away from the purpose of prayer and community. That's just my personal opinion. I know, it's not what they said or thought, but it's how I personally feel.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, right? Right? God is the same everywhere, but you're different in different places. Right? You're not, maybe that's not going to do it for you. Like for me, it's going to the menorah at Campus Kramer or going in that chapel. That does it for me. right? Or something like that. All right, it's 1 o'clock. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead. Jeff's got the final word, and then we're going to keep going.
You know, this Parsha also includes a much more important concept, which is barely touched on, which is the direction for the Sabbath. And how do you compare the Mishkan alone as an entity or an object or a veneration site to the concept of your behavior on Shabbos and the communion that the individual must make on the Sabbath to God, the commitment to involvement with God, at least on the Sabbath. And, you know, the focal point doesn't seem to be fully expressed in the Torah, in any of the Parshas, regarding the value and meaning and importance of the Sabbath. The word is mentioned many times, but it's really not an article of action or faith or need for the people.
Interesting. Okay. Jacob, last word.
I read a book yesterday called The Sabbath by Abraham Heschel, but he talked about how there's time and space is man's mustering up money, power, prestige, and then time is God, and you give all that up.
Beautiful.
I wish I could read a book a day, Jacob.
It's only 100.
It's a short book.
Only, yeah, but
I have it.
whatever.
I gotta read it.
Short physically, but it takes me 3 hours to get through a page. And
Right.
then you go back to my professor. You don't understand, right, David? No, you don't understand. Here, Jeff, what I'm going to say to you.
When is your next
you know,
class, though, David?
It's before Passover. I don't know.
Okay.
Sometime. Look on the website.
I mean,
You'll
it's
get an
the
email,
Friday
it'll come
class.
out. I don't know if it's on the Friday. I don't know if
No,
this
it's okay,
particular
I'll
one is a
look.
Friday.
Doing the Passover class,
It's on a Wednesday.
Passover
It's
class.
on Wednesday.
24th.
God, is that
Wednesday
you?
the 24th.
Oh, thanks so much. It goes
At
right in my
11
schedule.
o'clock. At
What's-
11 o'clock, not 12 o'clock.
Right.
Oh my.
11
Okay,
o'clock on the
great.
24th.
Thank you.
I have trouble
And Jeff,
getting.
Rabbi,
Yeah,
what
go.
did you want to say?
I'll tell you in a second. Go, Sue.
I have trouble getting on the site. I don't know what I do wrong. How do all of you get on the class, the Torah study class?
It just says Zoom.
I click on the link.
I click on the Zoom link.
Click
Yeah,
on the
it's a
Zoom
good
link
question.
that's in the Friday
From
night.
where? Do you do it from the calendar?
No, no.
Or the email.
Yeah.
Do from the
I
email.
I had the same problem, Sue,
Yes, you can.
using the
email that comes every day.
calendar link.
Use that link.
Okay, so
That's
I have,
interesting.
okay.
Okay, that's a good
Thank
note.
you.
I'll look into that. Good
Thank
note. I'll
you,
look into that.
Roy. Thank you, everybody.
Jeff,
So I end up
here, we'll
going to
we'll dis-
the daily email, and that
That's-
had the correct
All
link.
right. That has the correct link. I will look into
Okay.
why we're having trouble on the actual website itself.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
mark your calendar for next year. We'll talk about that point on this Torah portion next year. I'll see you then. Mark your calendar.
Thanks so much.
Shabbat shalom.
All right,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Shabbat
Before.
shalom.
Jacob,
Fabulous as
Jacob,
usual. You guys are so great.
before you go, can you unmute yourself? Because Rabbi Eshel was my teacher and personal friend when I was at the seminary.
Wow.
So I was
Oh
very
my gosh.
I know it's one of the privileges of my life. We were literally good friends of the family, and he and Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan were both my teachers at the same time when I studied at the College of Jewish Studies at the seminary. This was always
Mordecai Kaplan is a cousin of mine.
Is that right? Oh,
Yes,
but yes.
yes.
Wow.
But I didn't know him. He was very much removed from our family. But of course, he started this whole new concept of Judaism.
Of
right?
Reconstructionism.
That's right. So he was
My
like a
God.
god of sorts. We stayed
He
with his, yeah. Anyhow, I just would throw that out, but I don't really know very much.
That's
It's all new.
amazing.
I know very little, but I'm very proud that they were my teachers.
What
Right.
made you go to the seminary?
Well, I went to the Yeshiva Flatbush in Brooklyn and graduated from there, went to a regular high school, went to Brooklyn College, but I was very motivated to study, which came from myself. My dad was a rabbi, but I could have put that aside a little because when I was 18 and 19 years old, I was in Brooklyn College. It took me one and a half hours to get from my house in Brooklyn to the seminary at night in Harlem. I got off the train. It took 3 trains. I got off the train, went to study 3 nights a week, came home after midnight and walked many long blocks. There were times that I was the only one on the train.
Oh my
God. At 11 o'clock at night, and no woman or man would do this today. And I don't know why I did. I was not afraid. And I was grateful for the different time that I lived in, or I would not have been able to study at the seminary.
Which seminary? What was it?
It was the Jewish Theological Seminary where the men were studying to be rabbis.
Oh, JTS?
Exactly, on 123rd Street and Amsterdam Avenue in Harlem.
I grew up not far from there. I grew up on 92nd in Columbus.
Wow.
They had a separate study, which they called the College of Jewish Studies, which they opened to young men and young women who wanted to study and not be rabbis.
Interesting.
And look at how much you give us, and JTS is now, huge.
Oh, of course. It was rather huge then, too. And very open and a very wonderful way of looking at Judaism, and terrific teachers. Rabbi Ginsburg were there, 2 of them. They taught history. And I was just the most fortunate young woman of only 5 feet 10 inches tall, walking down. I was a full 5'10", walking with very long blonde hair, which was natural at the time, and would put it inside, walk like Quasimodo, right out of the Hunchback, look like a Hunchback if I could, and tried to make myself as unattractive as possible, which was quite easy to do.
Wow.
Why am I talking about myself so much? My God.
It's fascinating.
Sorry to bore you. Sorry.
No, this is great. Really great. So what did you do with your career? What did you become?
Oh, I became a teacher.